hadn't seen Father Ned in years. Life happens. I'd heard he was terminal, but I didn't know what stage. So I kept texting and calling him to make a life story happen. This went on for about a month. I was persistent, and we finally made it happen. I went to his home and we sat for a couple of hours and did a life story. Father Ned still had his strength, and he'd always been a great storyteller, known for his homilies. We laughed, we cried, he sang. It was, as Father Ned would say, amazing grace. 10 days later, he was gone.
And here you are, his Irish accent, a fine, strapping lad, and you're a priest. Well, something good came out of it, huh? When I went to Rome, my first year there, I developed pericarditis, which is an inflammation of the lining around the heart. And I thought I had the flu. Not going to classes, I was in my room. After about 2 weeks, this priest from Boston, I didn't even know that well, knocked on my door and he said, "Hey, Ned, are you still sick?" And I said, "Yeah, I can't seem to shake this flu." He says, "Oh, it might be more than the flu. You ought to get it checked out." And he advised me to go up to this Calvary Hospital. So I did. I went up to Calvary Hospital in the emergency room and they threw me right in the hospital right away. And they told me that if I would have waited 2 more days, that infection would have infected the muscle and they couldn't have saved me.
Wow.
So it wasn't for that priest stopping by, and that. And who knows why this priest that I didn't even know too well stopped by my room and said, "Hey, are you still sick?" And if he didn't do that, I would have been dead, and that. So you look back on things like that and you just say, wow. And she gets up and she says, "And now Father Weist is going to tell us how sin comes into all of this." It was like being hit by a 2x4, There's 100 people out there and they're all... I said, "You're not going to come in there with the answers. There's no real answer to this." Mm-hmm. But you being there with your humanity and you're sharing with them, your own compassion and everything, that's going to help them through it. If you come in there, it's starting like you know all the answers and this is this and one theologian says that and you're done, so don't do it. And it's a daughter whose mother committed suicide and her father, and it was his wife who committed the suicide. The daughter says, "Before we begin, I want to say something to Father Weist." And she leans down, looks back at me back there, and she says, "When you came in with that collar on, I turned to my father and I said, 'There's the enemy.'" And I got a chill. Oh my God, She said, "But after what you shared with us, you're not my enemy. You're my brother. You're my friend." And I lost it, It was like, my God. Now that's amazing grace right there, if I could have gone another way, but by God's grace, it all turned out that way. And then I got a letter later on in the week from this woman who is the Methodist minister at Spencer, Ohio. She wrote this note to me and she said, "Father Ned, I just want to tell you, this was your finest hour as a priest and minister, And I read those things and it was like, wow. And once again, God taught me that you got to take all your theology and all the things you've learned and everything like that and bring it to the scene, but bring your humanity there, connect with them and how God's grace helps you through all of that. But, that's something I processed later on and everything. But those are moments that, are moments of amazing grace, really.
The family has this incredible relic that was shared at his wake, at the Irish American Club after party, amongst family and friends to celebrate Father Ned's life.
Well, the secret of life is that you don't grasp it. It grasps you, okay? I think we spend our lives saying, "I'm going to find that one answer, that one thing." Mm-hmm. And you realize that there's a reality bigger than yourself. And then, of course, we call it God. It's what St. Augustine finally said after being a playboy of the Western world. He said, "We're all restless until we rest in you, Lord." And it was opening up to his love and his grace. And everything else kind of fell into place with that,
Life moves pretty fast. Schedule a life story now.
Take my heart, O Lord. Take my hopes and dreams. Take my mind with all its plans and schemes. Give me nothing more than your love and grace. These alone, O God, are enough for me. And that's actually my night prayer. And that's the prayer we sing at the nursing home, what somebody called God's waiting room, you know. And
I know I've been going in there.
yeah, when those persons sing that hymn, you know, every week I show up there, somebody else is gone, you know, taking their last breath and believing that nothing more is needed than God's love and grace is enough for them. So I said, well, that's a good night prayer too. So I use that.